Thank you for those beautiful words, and good evening, everyone. My name is Hannah Godefa. I'd like to thank the Walrus Foundation, RBC Foundation, and supporting sponsors for really creating such a unique platform for speakers from virtually all sectors and all backgrounds to share insight on philanthropy, as you've all heard this evening. And I can personally attest to learning so much from all of you, so thank you. As the founder of the Pencil Mountain Project, which is a project that distributes educational resources for in-need students in Ethiopia and South Sudan, I have focused on advocacy for gender equality throughout all stages of education. And this all started when I was 7 years old, and I visited my parents' rural hometown of Aksum, Ethiopia, and my parents are here with me this evening. And I was staying there with my grandmother. And there was a young girl around my age who was staying with her there, and I became very good friends with her. But before I left, I wanted to keep in touch with her as a pen pal. But my parents explained to me that she did not have the pencils or school materials to do so. And so I knew that in that moment that advocating for girls like me to have equal opportunities in education would be a very important part of my life going forward. But at that time, I couldn't really comprehend how children anywhere couldn't have access to something as accessible as a pencil, let alone as I later learned education. And so I decided to mobilize my community in Canada and went from my school to local businesses to leaders in my community to fundraise as many supplies as I possibly could think to support all the children around the world who did not have access to these materials. So to date, over 500,000 school supplies, including research books for new universities and wheelchairs for students with disabilities, have been distributed within rural Ethiopia. These supplies have gone to primary, high school, and university students. And 10 years later, from that first visit of mine in Ethiopia, it is not very difficult to see that this world has to improve in the way that it treats children. Several conflicts around the world right now are causing issues of mass displacement. They are leading to delayed access to healthcare, education, and other basic necessities. And as a child of 2 former refugees, it pains me to see such large populations of child refugees and a world existing for a great number of children that is not very different at all from the one that my parents experienced almost 20 years ago. And the prevalence of conflict affecting children, especially girls, has always given me the determination to advocate for education in any way possible. Now, my role with UNICEF Ethiopia as an ambassador enables me to do just that and to work towards equity in education through fairness and inclusion. So making education fair means ensuring social circumstances such as gender do not interfere with pursuing education. And inclusion requires everyone to have basic access to education, boys and girls. But these factors are interdependent, and in working with UNICEF, I'm able to focus on challenges to equity and equality in education. In the Southern Nations, Nationalities and Peoples region of Ethiopia, SNNPR, I met with many compelling young women and girls my age who are working together to support alternative income projects supported by UNICEF and local partners. And they were extremely enthusiastic to share their stories with me and their experiences. With the Women Development Armies in Alamata in rural Ethiopia, I was able to meet with these groups of girls and women that lead their community in healthcare awareness and support childcare initiatives across Ethiopia. In speaking with them, I realized how girls in Ethiopia and around the world are really taking advantage of leadership positions and experiences and circumstances in order to better create a future for themselves and for their communities. So if there's one thing that I'm 100% sure of, it's that education is not isolated. There is a prominent relationship between educating women and girls and positive results for maternal health, economic empowerment, and social mobility. By reforming the attitudes and building confidence, the empowerment of youth in leadership roles creates more equitable and sustainable development. So we need to challenge ourselves to think outside of the box, to think of youth not only as participants in philanthropic initiatives, but leading at the forefront of them. And now I've personally encountered some incredible projects that I'd like to share with you who have managed to find this delicate balance. One being the Youth Advisory Group, the YEG of the UN Secretary General's Global Initiative on Education. Now, these are 18 young people from around the world who are together on a board who strengthen momentum and increase support for this platform's three main priorities, which are to put every child in school, to improve the quality of learning, and foster global citizenship. So at several global conferences, members of the GEFI Council have challenged and mobilized leaders in various sectors, providing insight on the educational priorities of youth. They have then taken those experiences back to their respective countries and regions, and they are often the only voice of youth at the table where the topic of most discussions directly affect children, and are therefore able to keep political, social, cultural, and religious leaders accountable for their dialogue on children. Another organization that I had the honor to work with, the Girl 20 Summit, utilizes a very similar youth-centered model by investing in leadership training and experience for young women around the world, encouraging them to apply what they have learned by working with global leaders, but by also returning back to their countries and supporting Girls 20 delegate initiatives. Now, these women are then able to apply the new skills that they have gained from the conference and empower girls and women at home. They are in the best position to advance societies because as girls, they are most intimately in touch with the issues that affect them. At the 2014 summit, I had the opportunity to meet the delegates and to talk to them about the incredible work that they are doing, including one delegate named Nabila from Germany, who aims to launch an incentive to promote stronger self-esteem and body perception amongst women and girls in Germany. So the most valuable part of these incentives are not only the investment in youth, but the cross-cultural exchange and the opportunity for youth to share best practices. But youth are not only pivotal in reforming societal institutions of education or health, but they can also play an important role in changing long-standing harmful traditions and cultural practices, such as female genital cutting and child and early enforced marriage. The 2014 UK-hosted Girls Summit to End Child Marriage and FGC adopted this idea through a series of youth events called #YouthForChange, and that used the opportunity to outreach with youth from London and surrounding areas to educate the public about various stigmas around these practices abroad, but also in communities in the UK. And so this day of really inspirational talks led to a ripple effect in which more youth were able to get engaged towards ending these practices and this movement. So it is this level really of engagement and integration of youth to the effect of them leading discussions and setting the agenda for what they believe to be the most relevant and pressing issues of the day that will transform the way that we understand philanthropy currently. Now, I'm looking forward to the conversations that are sparked out of these Walrus Talks, but even more so, I look forward to our collective power to integrate and empower youth in philanthropy, especially girls. And that means encouraging and supporting them to take on leadership positions, strengthening their capacity to aspire to get involved in whatever they want to achieve, because each of us has a collective responsibility to commit to tangible equality and equity in education. Each of us must play an active role in enabling a society where young people can act on their own behalf and terms rather than solely under the direction of others. Thank you.